Okay, good morning again, everyone. This is Nick Petro at the National Weather Service with your weekly impact weather briefing for Central North Carolina. This briefing covers the period today through Sunday through the 8th of January. And just keeping in mind that normally we conduct these briefings every Monday morning, but given the fact that yesterday, Monday, was a federal holiday, we postponed it to Tuesday. So subsequent briefings, again, unless they're on a federal holiday, should occur on Monday. So anyway, Happy New Year, everyone, and thanks for joining us. So jumping right into this week's weather pattern. And these maps here show kind of a snapshot of the pattern right through basically, for today, for midweek, for late week and weekend. And what you see there is, generally speaking, you'll see high pressure that originates from, the northern plains that gradually builds eastward with time through the week. But the big weather story that I think has captured everyone's attention is the potential for low pressure to develop over the northeast Gulf of Mexico late in the week and move northeast off the southeast coast. That is, generally speaking, a favorable pattern for a winter weather event for Central North Carolina. However, while that pattern might be the one we're looking for winter weather, there are a lot of details that can vary based on the track. You hear us talk a lot about the track of these systems, the track. And the track is important because depending on the track, that can determine who gets rain, who gets snow, who gets freezing rain, or who gets anything at all if the track is too far to our east. One thing we do know is you need cold air ahead of one of these types of systems to get any type of wintry weather. And what's interesting about this system is that the temperatures will be falling basically from Wednesday night, Thursday on. So there will be some cold air around. So we're just going to be looking at, the track of the low and the moisture associated with it. Just for the sake of, we show this every week, I thought I'd just throw this right on here real quick. Not spending a lot of time. The severe thunderstorm potential is low or non-existent. So what about amounts? So again, you'll see the today portion is actually what has already fallen for the most part. Because I think, we should see mostly dry weather, right through the, really through Wednesday and Thursday as that high pressure builds in. And the precip amounts you see here Friday and Saturday are more reflective of that low pressure system that's going to move up along the southeast coast. And again, since the track is offshore, that's where the heaviest precip amounts will be. It's how much of it actually does get back over land. And so anyway, that's the breakdown for the amounts when you, the liquid equivalent amounts. Now, focusing more on the actual potential winter storm. This graphic, this little infographic here, I think summarizes the setup. And what you see there, the X's, the first one with today, that's a weather disturbance there off the west coast, and that's going to set the stage. That system is forecast to move across the country and set the stage for a potential winter weather event across portions of Central North Carolina this upcoming weekend. But given that slow movement, you can see each subsequent X shows where it'll be the following days. And look how slow it moves today, Wednesday, and Thursday. It hardly moves at all. And then finally it picks up some speed as it moves across the country. But given that initial slow movement and uncertainties about how it'll interact with weather systems up into Canada, because these weather systems up here will determine whether this dashed line, which is the track of this weather system, is further north or further south or further centered more to the east or centered more to the west. So what's happening up here in Canada will influence this dash track greatly. So we got to keep our eyes to the north where to see how this all unfolds. But bottom line is there's a great deal of uncertainty in the forecast for Central North Carolina and how bad or maybe how good our weather will be this upcoming weekend. So the best advice is stay tuned. Putting it into a little bit better example in terms of model uncertainties, I thought I would show a side-by-side comparison of two, I would say, high-quality models, Model 1 versus Model 2. One of those models is the American GFS model. But anyway, I thought I'd point out that Friday night, generally, both models show precipitation developing to our south and moving north towards Central North Carolina. But again, focus on that track on Saturday morning. Model 2, the one on the right, is much stronger than Model 1 and consequently has more precipitation and greater impacts further to the west over more of central North Carolina. And again, this is what I'm talking about. This low is sort of weaker in Model 1 and further east versus Model 2, which has a much stronger, deeper low closer to the coast. And this would mean a much greater impact scenario for central North Carolina. And then by Saturday afternoon, both are moving fairly quickly to the east-northeast and northeast rather. So the bottom line here with this graphic here is the Model 2 tracks closer to the coast, which would mean greater impacts. So this is what we mean by uncertainty. This is just a simple example of two of the models, two of the more common models we look at, and why all the uncertainty. So I think the bottom line for late this week and this weekend is clearly this is a complex weather system with a lot of independent weather features over North America that will be impacting the evolution of that system. So it's safe to say, however, that the threat for wintry precipitation Friday into Saturday may be increasing. We'll see about that. Confidence of exact storm track is low. The low track influences which areas get rain, which areas get snow or some other wintry precipitation type. The track of the low also influences how much precipitation falls. Models have been trending a little bit further east, so there are some models, in fact, that they're so far east that they don't show anything at all for central North Carolina. Some pretty reliable models are so far east they don't show anything. Earlier when I said it's safe to say that the threat for wintry precipitation Friday into Saturday, what that means is it's cold enough. So if there is moisture over us, it should be in the form of wintry precipitation. I wanted to clarify that because not the fact that these two are contradicting each other, it's just that what moisture and what precipitation does fall, it looks like it's going to be cold enough. But again, there's a lot of uncertainty in exactly the track, and that confidence is low. Let me also point out that the models are run 4 times per day, and that means 16 more model run cycles will happen before the storm even gets close to us. Each model cycle typically results in changes to the storm tracks, the features, and in the amounts, how much of this or how much of that. So the bottom line is it may be another day or so before our confidence increases enough and the models come into better agreement before we can start talking about potential snowfall amounts for central North Carolina. In the meantime, there's some things that we could do. What folks should be doing now is reviewing their winter weather preparedness plans, just in case a high impact weather event does develop for our area. And obviously you want to stay tuned to forecast updates. So that's the bottom line. Stay tuned and just review those winter weather preparedness plans just in case. I will point out that just before we came online here, I noticed one of the models that I showed here on this previous slide did trend even a little bit further to the east. So that would be good news in taking the bigger precip amounts even further east than us. So we'll see. We'll see. That track means everything at this point. Anyway, looking further ahead for next week, it looks like temperatures, odds don't really favor one way or the other for temperature. Of course, it'll depend if there's snow cover, let's say, temperatures would tend to be colder than they otherwise would. And no, odds really don't favor one way or the other above or below normal precipitation. So anyway, the summary highlights for this week's weather briefing, fair and relatively warm weather. I should describe fair as more or less dry. Relatively warm for this time of year, weather right through Wednesday, although you might want to definitely watch out for some fog during the mornings. And then the cooling trend will begin Thursday. You see the numbers down there at the bottom. We go from 61 for a high on Wednesday to 46 for a high on Thursday. So that cooling trend will begin. And then we have a possible winter weather event for Friday night into Saturday. You want to stay tuned. Again, all those uncertainties I just pointed out on the previous slide. Looks like things either way should turn dry and cold late in the weekend and early next week. So anyway, that is that's the summary for the weather briefing. I'll pause for a moment to take any questions before I go into the. I advertised earlier in the email that will be there's a little added bonus here at the end of this briefing, and it's a review of our new range of possibilities snow product. So I'll get to that in a minute, but I'll pause for a moment in case anybody has any questions about the weather briefing that I just presented. I'll pause here for a moment. If you have any questions, feel free to type them into the box and I'll address them one at a time. I'll pause for another few seconds here just in case anybody's still typing before we move on to the last segment of this webinar. All right, thanks for that feedback, Roger. All right, so let's go ahead and move to what I wanted to present here, taking this opportunity. You know, with snow in the there's a potential for snow in the forecast later this week, I thought this would be a very appropriate time to briefly present a new product, a new snowfall forecast that we'll be doing here in the National Weather Service in Raleigh for this winter. And it's basically, we call it the range of possibilities. So, you know, what we're most used to, I think, in the past, historically, we've given what we call a deterministic or a single forecast that frequently changes as a storm nears. And this is just one screen capture of one event from last winter where we give a determined amount that it's going to say, for example, there'll be 6 to 8 inches of snow, or there'll be 2 to 3 inches of snow, whatever your case may be. We would traditionally just give ranges and say this is what you're going to get. And we would try to convey some other scenarios, but and some of them were hand-drawn and others were, it lacked consistency. So for the other scenarios. But more or less, if you go on our webpage, type in your zip code or click on the map, you're going to get what we call single deterministic forecast value. So, with so much uncertainty in winter weather events, and really any weather for that matter, especially, we see all the uncertainty with this weekend's weather, probably a better scenario rather than just focusing on single deterministic amounts would be to provide a range of possibilities. It could be this much, or it could be that much, or expect at least this much. Kind of widen the goalposts, to give people a better opportunity to make better decisions. So with that range of possibilities, there's going to be 3 new products that come out this winter, and who knows, we may get a chance to try these out this weekend. And again, that's the reason why I wanted to present this today, just in case there's that opportunity. But we're going to have 3 new products. The first product's going to be a minimum, most likely, and maximum snowfall maps that sort of set the goalposts of possibilities. And the minimum would be a value that says expect at least this much. A maximum would be, okay, if everything comes together perfectly, this would be the potential for this greatest amount. And then the most likely amount in the middle is sort of the more traditional, this is what we think, or this is what we feel is most likely to happen. That's the first product. The second product is a probabilistic view of the chance that snow will be greater than predetermined amounts. And then finally, the third product breaks it down for locations in each county. So the easiest way for me to demonstrate this, I think, is to actually go to our webpage and actually show you what it looks like. So anyway, if you start off at weather.gov/Raleigh, so keep this in mind. If you got a pencil or pen and some paper handy, jot this down. Everybody should know this already, weather.gov. That's an easy website to remember. That's where you want to start off at, weather.gov/Raleigh. But anyway, when you get to our main forecast page right here, scroll down to where you see this snowflake, this little snowflake tile. It's like an icon here. It says winter weather right under it. If you click on that, that takes you to this winter weather snow accumulation potential web page. And this is the location of those 3 new products. So right at the top, the first thing you'll see, below the disclaimer here, are 3 maps. And this is, believe it or not, this is live data. So this is what's happening right today. So so this is for a time range. If you're wondering what the time range involves, this is basically from today through the 6th, through Friday. So during that 3-day period, and again, this is a 72-hour forecast. This is comprised of the next 3 days. This map will show you the very least, expect at least this much. Take it to the bank, we're going to get at least this much, which is 0. That's good news, right? So anyway, that is the map on the left. The map on the far right is what is the greatest amount we can get in the next 3 days. And actually, believe it or not, there's some solutions that suggest, there could be something extremely light. It is a non-zero value here, but less than an inch of snow between now and 8 p.m. Friday. Of course, the map in the middle is more like the traditional map. This is the amount that we think is most likely to occur. So we don't expect any snow to fall between now and Friday. So anyway, that's the first product. As I'm scrolling down, you can see there's an ice accumulation potential map. Unfortunately, we are not doing this experiment for ice. We're only doing it for snow right now. So this ice map, if we do expect freezing rain, it's going to be the more traditional deterministic value. So anyway, that's product number one. Product number two is that is the percent chance that snow accumulation will be greater than predefined amounts. And you can see those predefined amounts here at the top. Greater than or equal to basically a trace, greater than or equal to 1 inch, greater than or equal to 2 inches, and so on, all the way up to greater than or equal to 18 inches. And all you do is just simply mouse over. So there's the chance, that percent chance that 1/10 of snow or more will fall between now and Friday. So you can see there is a non-zero chance. I mean, we're talking, 42, 46% from Raleigh northeastward, that there could be, just very trace amounts of snow. That would probably be, closer to the event we're talking about for Friday night to Saturday, maybe the onset. As we look at these greater amounts, you can see how the percentage changes. So that, I think most people will find that's a very handy way of viewing what is the most likely amounts to happen. The third product is these locality tables, which is a more text-based product. What I like about this is that you can simply find your city or your location and see a table of those values. So for example, expect at least this much in this table or in this column. There's a potential for as much as this in the far right, but the most likely amount is right in the middle, and then the probabilistic values down to the right. If you want to zoom in on your exact location, you can, in this drop-down box, you can pick your county. So for example, let me scroll down to Johnston County, where I live, and you can see there's basically 5 cities listed here. So to give you a little bit more finer details about specific locations. Now, I hope this demonstration gives you a sense of how this works, but to make it a little bit easier to understand how this works, what we've done is we set up a fake snow event, a demonstration, and that's what we show. That's what we've got in this tab, and this is just for testing and demonstration purposes. So this page I'm showing you has nothing to do with weather this week or this weekend or any weather for that amount. All this is a demo page to show you how to use this page. So in this fake storm that we brewed up here, this is a 3-day forecast, and this can, if you click over on these maps, you can see in this particular fake storm, this map on the left would represent the least amount that we expect will happen, the least amount. In other words, take it to the bank that you're going to get at least this much. That's what this left map demonstrates. The map on the far right represents, okay, if all the worst of the worst scenarios came together, what would be the possibility? What's the greatest amount we could potentially see? If you click on that, you can see, in this fake storm, some pretty big numbers. So anyway, but then the map in the middle is the most likely scenario. Based on everything we know and all the data we have, what is the most likely scenario of how much snow we could get? And if you click on that, you can see those values there. So anyway, scrolling down to the percentage tables, we think that folks will find this fairly useful. Again, as you go from lower amounts to higher amounts, clearly the probabilities decrease, and that makes sense. It'll always be, for the most part, in that way, unless the confidence is really high that a certain amount's going to occur. But and that's one thing to point out. If you see these highest probabilities converging in on a certain amount, then the confidence further increases that we're going to get that amount of snow. But this makes it real simple to visualize. You know, trace to a 1/10 inch or more, the probability that it's going to be greater than an inch, the probability that it's going to be greater than 2 inches, the probability of greater than 4, and so on, all the way up to this, you know, crazy amount here, greater than 18 inches, 0%. So, so anyway, again, just keep in mind this is a fake storm, a demo storm, for the purposes of showing how this page works. And then finally, the locality tables here. So, you know, this again conveys the same information. Let me zoom in on the county there where I live, and you can see again, you can see the, you know, the expect this amount, 0, you know, and so on. Let me show a county where there's more snow involved here. Here's an example for Forsyth County, again with this demo storm. For Forsyth County, you can see the locations here. Expect at least an inch, take it to the bank. You know, the greatest amount that could possibly happen if everything comes together perfectly, and the most likely scenario. So anyway, I think folks, I think you'll find this quite useful. And again, you know, as we in this demo, in this fake storm demo, you'll say, well, what good is 1 inch to 18 inches? I mean, anybody can throw that out there. The point is as we get closer and closer to the storm, these values, the difference between the minimum and the maximum, should shrink. So as you're, you know, 2 days before an event, there should only be, you know, a couple inches separation, and even less, you know, as you get a day or less out. So anyway, keep that in mind as you see these values, these ranges shrinking and getting closer to each other. That means our confidence is increasing. Anyway, I hope you find these useful. One other thing I would point out here, there is an opportunity here to get some additional information, like the "What is this" button. If you click on that, that'll give you a quick explanation of what it is you're looking at, in case you're, if you get confused, look at these and wonder what again was that I'm looking at, type thing. You can change the depiction from point values to range values. There's the point values. If you decide to leave feedback, there's a leave feedback button. Keep in mind that feedback does not come to us here at the National Weather Service in Raleigh. That feedback goes to the developers of this page at our headquarters. And so, in other words, if you're looking at these maps and you're seeing a certain value for your area and you've got a question about those values, that's not the place you want to ask your question, the leave feedback, because we're not going to get that until after the storm is probably over. If you have a question about anything you're seeing here during the course of an event, pick up the phone and call us or shoot us an email. But if you have a suggestion for how we can make this page better, or things that work or don't work, or things you like or don't like, that's where you click the leave feedback button. But again, leave feedback is not for operational questions in terms of what can I expect for this forecast. So just wanted to point that out as well. So anyway, I think that new web page and these new maps will help convey a little bit more information about what we think could happen for future storms. So anyway, there might be an opportunity to use that this weekend. We'll see. Switching back to the live page here. At this point, I'll be happy to take any questions. So let me just go through these questions one by one here. Bear with me here for a moment. Okay. Roger, it looked like you had a question there. I didn't quite understand what you were getting at. Was that a comment or a question? I'm going to clear that out, and if you could elaborate a little bit more on your question about the ground. All right, Mark, thanks for the feedback. Appreciate that. Okay, Tony asks a question. Nice product. Are adjacent or adjoining WFOs deploying this product as well? That's a great question, Tony. Thanks for pointing that out, because that's a good question. So our offices west of us will be and north of us will be deploying this as well this year. So what I'm talking about is National Weather Service Blacksburg will be doing this, so covering northwest North Carolina, and National Weather Service Greenville Spartanburg South Carolina that covers southwest North Carolina will be deploying this as well. National Weather Service Wakefield, Virginia, covering northeast North Carolina, will be deploying this. But to our east and southeast, Newport and Wilmington, they'll be deploying this next year. So anyway, great question. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Bear with me here. Appreciate the feedback. And I think that's all I've got for questions. So anyway, again, if you have any questions along the way about this or the briefing, feel free to reach out to us. In case anybody is wondering about a future briefing schedule for the winter storm, if such a winter storm develops, be sure to check your email. If we decide to do any storm-specific webinars, we will provide that information via email and the registration links via email as well. So anyway, thanks so much for sticking around this morning for a little bit longer than usual Monday morning briefing. I hope you found this this little informational presentation here about the range of possibilities. Hope you found that useful. Otherwise, I'm going to stop the recording here, and I'll process this and get everything emailed out, the slides and a link to the recording via YouTube. So thanks again for joining us. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us.